Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the EASIE Part 1 webinar for fiscal year 2023-24. My name is Crystal Szymanski, and I support the Partner Support Center. I also have Christine Bain from PSC on the line, as well as some representatives from the Office of Indian Education, who will also be presenting and assisting in answering questions. The PowerPoint that we will review today, as well as the audio recording of today's meeting, will be available on the EASIE community website. You can also contact the Partner Support Center to request a copy of these resources or guidance on how to access the community site. To access audio for today's webinar session, users can dial in by selecting Event, then Information in your WebEx window. Users can also use their computer speakers to hear audio. If you would like to submit any questions or comments, please submit these via the Q&A panel. To access the Q&A panel, select the three dots at the bottom right of your WebEx screen and select Q&A. Do not submit questions through the chat panel. Participants will be muted upon entry, but can ask questions verbally upon request in the Q&A panel during our questions and answer section. Please reference the screenshot provided to see how your Q&A panel should look when submitting questions or comments. All participants are in listen-only mode. As a reminder, some questions sent through the Q&A panel may not be answered in real time. This helps ensure OIE has proper time to research each individualized policy issue prior to providing a response. If your questions are not addressed during today's webinar session, please contact PSC. Today, we will be reviewing the EASIE Part 1 application process for fiscal year 2023-24. Today, we will review webinar housekeeping and logistics and introductions, general information, EASIE Part 1 process, eligibility information, application duration, student count information, required supplemental forms, how to access EASIE Part 1 online demonstration, and a question and answer session. I will now be passing the presentation over to Julian.
Hi, this is Crystal Moore. I will go ahead and chime in for our Director Guerrero. He may be having some technical issues, it looks like to me. So,
hey, Crystal. Okay.
Oh, great. Okay,
looks like it was fixed. Okay. Thank you so much. Sorry about that, folks. Let me turn on my video just real briefly. It's good to be here with you all, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us this afternoon with the Office of Indian Education. I'm Julian Guerrero, Director of the Office of Indian Ed, and joined by my esteemed colleagues in the Formula Grant Program. We're very excited that you took time to be with us, and this is, again, is a great webinar and resource to really give you the opportunity to learn about Part 1, ask questions, and always feel like you can ask questions. We really appreciate the time you're taking to make sure that this is a successful process for you. And my time at the OIE has been wonderful with my colleagues to kind of learn how we can take this program forward and continue to build upon the success of not only all programs across the country, but again, making sure that we're supporting the resources and the needs of all of our Native children across the country. And there are many. And we're so enthused to be with you this afternoon. I'll give it over to my colleague, Dr. Crystal Moore. Crystal.
Wonderful. Thank you, Director Guerrero, for taking time out of your very busy schedule to join us today. And we just appreciate all of your ongoing support of our OIE Formula grantees and new applicants. So I would next like to highlight our OIE Formula Program team you see on the screen in the next slide. Thank you. Top left, we have Miss Annabelle Toledo. She is our Education Program Specialist, and she is assigned to basically the eastern half of the United States. So generally everything east of the Mississippi is under Miss Toledo's watch, and she can be reached at the contact information you see on the slide, annabelle.toledo@ed.gov. You see her email there as well, and then the states that she's responsible for. Please contact her if you have any questions or concerns in those states. Then you see myself in the middle, and I cover all the grantees, especially the ones that have higher needs or need an enhanced level of support for whatever reason. Next to myself is Wanda Lee, and she is our Education Program Specialist, Program Officer for the entire state of Oklahoma, which has roughly 400 grantees and about a quarter of our funding. So it's a big job she has there. Her email, wanda.lee@ed.gov, and her email or her phone number below that. And then underneath her, we have Gregory Hinesley. He's one of our newer program officers, Education Program Specialist. And you see the states that he is assigned to, basically the northeastern part of the United States. And his email, and it's Gregory. A lot of you know him as Greg, but the email is gregory.hinesley@ed.gov. His phone number is there as well. To his left is Miss Terry Nelson. She's been with OIE for a very long time, been with Ed for about 30 years in various roles. She is on a special assignment with us for this year, and she's assigned the grantees basically in the Southwest region of the United States. So feel free to reach out to any of them with any concerns that you have, and we will certainly get you an answer. Next slide, please. Next, we will review general information for the EASIE Part 1. This is about Part 1 only, and your application for that. And the purpose of our program, again, is a hybrid of both culture and academics. So our Indian Education Formula grants to LEAs, local education agencies, provides grants to support local education agencies, aka school districts, Indian tribes, and Indian organizations, as well as other eligible entities in developing elementary and secondary school programs that serve our Indian students, as defined on our ED 506 form. The U.S. Department of Education, or otherwise known as the Department, funds comprehensive programs that are designed to meet the unique cultural, language, and educational needs of American Indian and Alaska Native students, and ensure that all students meet challenging state academic standards. So we equally weight both academic and culture, and really like to see a hybrid of those two, the intersection of those two. Next slide, please. So for our timeline for EASIE Part 1, Part 1 ultimately enables you to select an applicant type, submit your Indian student count by category and total, and select the duration of project objectives. EASIE Part 1 application opened yesterday, Monday, February 6th, and will close Friday, March 10th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All official closing dates are published in the Federal Register, and the information published there is firm. Again, it is firm. Please note that the OIE will not consider an application that does not comply with these deadline requirements. We cannot consider an application that does not comply with these deadline requirements. Applicants must meet the March 10th EASIE Part 1 deadline to be eligible to enter and complete EASIE Part 2 of the application process. Next slide, please. Next, we will be reviewing the EASIE Part 1 changes for FY 23 to 24. We have made some updates to our application this year. Number one, applicants may add the ED 506 form to their student information system and pre-fill the available demographic content from their student information records, such as name, address, grade level, and parents can also e-sign via the SIS. Please, before you do that adding of the ED 506 form to your SIS, communicate with your program officer and myself so that we can verify that your form is compliant with the OMB requirements of our form. And that will be critical so that if we ever get into a monitoring, your forms are good and valid from a formatting perspective. Again, please, if you are going to be adding your ED 506 form to your SIS, or if you have already done so, please reach out to your program officer. We need to review screenshots of your form in your SIS before you gather data that way or continue gathering data that way. Okay, number 2, grantees are also able to edit the below fields in the ED 506 form without contacting the parent. For whatever reason, the parent may not be available. If you want to edit the ED 506 form, we've had this request for quite a while. It is now approved. You can update the name of the child in accordance with the records you have in your student information system, such as PowerSchool. I think there's Infinite Campus. There's multiple different types of SIS samples, but programs, you can update their date of birth, their grade level, their name of the school district, name and date of the tribe, and whether the tribe is federally recognized. You cannot update, of course, any proof without contacting the parent, and you cannot update a membership or roll number. So if you have questions about this, please contact us first. These are the only items that we will allow updating. If school districts update the other content that is not listed here, that is on the ED 506 form, we will invalidate the form and not accept it as good and valid. So please reach out to us if you have questions regarding this. And then next item, we also have included a change for EASIE Part 1 fiscal year 23-24 to help applicants prepare for your application. Again, if you have questions about this, contact your program officer and or myself, PSC, so that we can make sure that you have clear information going forward to submit your EASIE Part 2 successfully. All right, next slide, and I will be turning this over to my colleague, Annabelle Toledo.
Thank you, Crystal, and welcome everyone. Here is a quick look at the overall process you will need to complete for your EASIE Part 1 application. We will be going over each page in the system and during our recorded video demonstration in subsequent slides. First, applicants will need to enter and confirm their applicant demographic information. Next, applicants will need to select the application duration option, either single year or multi-year. Applicants that have a multi-year application in the prior year will need to confirm if they will continue or discontinue their multi-year application. Applicants will then provide the number of eligible Indian students, their student count period, and the total number of all students enrolled in the applying entity or entities. Then tribes, Indian organizations, IOs, Indian community-based organizations, ICBOs, and consortium leaders must upload their required supplemental forms. Then the authorized official representative for the applicant will review the data for accuracy in preparation to begin the certification process. Finally, the authorized official representative, the AOR, certifies the application. Next slide. Next, we will review the EASIE Part 1 pages in OMB Max. We will also share a recorded demonstration of the entire Part 1 application later on in today's meeting. Page 1, EASIE Title VI Part 1 Instructions, and Page 2, EASIE Title VI Application Overview and FAQs are just informational pages. Each applicant will need to review the text of both pages, but there are no data entry sections. Page 3 is for EASIE Title VI Part 1 Demographics. This information will be pre-filled, and applicants have the ability to upload their applicant name, UEI number, and applicant mailing address. The PR award number and NCES number will be visible on this page, but cannot be updated. Next slide. Page 3 also pre-fills with the project director and the authorized official representative identified during the FY 2023-24 registration period. Applicants have the ability to update the first name, last name, title, phone number, fax number, and email addresses of both contacts. Next slide. Page 4.1, EASIE multi-year options for returning applicants is required for all prior year multi-year applicants. Relevant applicants will need to confirm if they are continuing or discontinuing their multi-year application. If they are discontinuing, they will be required to complete page 4.2. Page 4.2 EASIE Title VI Application Term Period and Applicant Type allows applicants to identify their application term period, single year versus multi-year, and their applicant type, LEA, not part of a consortium, LEA, consortium leader, Bureau of Indian Education, BIE funded school, tribe applying in lieu of LEA, Indian organization in a consortium, Indian community-based organization, and Indian community-based organization in a consortium. Both the application term period and applicant type from your prior application will display on this page. Page 5 is the EASIE Title VI Indian student count. This is where you will identify your total Indian student count type only for BIE funded schools, all student count, and your count period. As with the prior pages, responses from your prior application will display on these pages. On page 6, it's for supplemental forms. This is where the relevant supplemental forms are uploaded depending on the applicant type you identified on page 4. As a reminder, consortiums, tribes, Indian organizations, and Indian community-based organizations must upload their agreement forms in Part 1. LEAs not part of a consortium do not upload any forms during Part 1. Page 7 is the final certification page to submit your EASIE Part 1 application. Next, we will be reviewing the eligibility information. The following entities are eligible under this program. LEAs, including charter schools authorized as LEAs under state law, Bureau of Indian Education, BIE-related entities, BIE-operated, BIE tribally controlled contract grant school, BIE tribally controlled contract grant school consortium leader, Indian tribes, Indian organizations, Indian community-based organizations that are in a consortia of 2 or more LEAs, Indian tribes, IOs, Indian organizations, and ICBOs are also eligible under certain circumstances. Next slide. Now, let's take a look at application duration. Applicants can choose to enter a multi-year application, year 1 of 4, continue a multi-year application, year 2 or 3 of 4. If they certified as a multi-year application during the prior year or complete a single year application. Applicants must indicate the time span for the project objectives and corresponding activities and services for American Indian and Alaska Native students. Applicants can choose to set objectives that remain the same for up to 4 years in order to facilitate data collection and enhance long-term planning. We like to encourage applicants to apply for the multi-year application as it improves the ability to set long-term objectives, which would enhance your ability to collect data on project success. It also enhances long-term planning, establishing multi-year project objectives this year. Will not have to re-enter information reported in EASIE Part 2 next year. If they have no changes to their description or coordination of services, project objectives, activities, and or services. I'll turn the presentation over to Crystal Szymanski.
Now be taking our first question break to let all participants submit any questions in the Q&A panel. If you do not have any questions, here's something to think about while you are waiting. How do I view my previous year's EASIE Part 1 application information? Users can view their previously certified EASIE Part 1 information via data pre-filled in each question. Users can update information for FY 2023-24 as needed via the data entry response sections below each question. As a reminder, you can submit your questions into the Q&A panel. And just a reminder, please make sure that we're muted if we're, it looks like you can hear some. I will now pass the presentation over to Ms. Wanda Lee.
Thank you, Ms. Szymanski. We're now going to move on to student count information. Next slide, please. Enrollment requirements. To apply for a formula grant under the Indian Education Program, a school must determine the number of Indian children or students enrolled. A minimum of 10 eligible Indian students enrolled in the LEA during count period, or constituting not less than 25% of the total individuals in the schools of such agency. Can be the minimum enrollment requirement does not actually apply in Alaska, California, or Oklahoma, or to LEAs located on or in a 50-mile proximity to an Indian reservation. For Indian tribes and Indian organizations only, more than half of the total number of Indian students counted must be from the applicant Indian tribe or tribal organization. Next slide, please. Here is an example of what the Ed 506 form looks like. This form is the official document for certifying tribal membership, and a blank form is available for download on the EASIE Communities of Practice Part 1 page. We have provided a direct link to the document on the slide. An Ed 506 form, Indian Student Eligibility Certificate form, is a form completed by parents or guardians to document eligible Indian students. This form serves as the official record of the eligibility determination for each individual child included in the Indian student count. An Ed 506 form must be completed in full and signed and dated by the child's parent or guardian to certify an Indian student's eligibility for the program. A separate Ed 506 form is required for each individual Indian child. A new Ed 506 form does not have to be completed each year of enrollment in the LEA, as long as a signed, completed form is on file and there is documentation that the student was enrolled during the count period. Once an Indian child is determined to be eligible to be counted for a grant award, the applicant shall maintain a record of such determination and shall not require a new or duplicate determination or form to be made for such child for a subsequent application for this grant. Please note, the Ed 506 form is now electronically fillable. Each state has its own procedures for ensuring that electronic signatures are valid and authentic. Ed has recommendations for security measures, such as two-factor authentication, and that the school should follow its state and local laws and policies on electronic signatures. The Office of Indian Education also recommends that entities consult with the state's auditors, attorney general, or other appropriate state personnel who know and understand electronic signatures to validate that the state will be able to rely on such signatures for purposes of identifying the person signing the document. And keep the assurance reference above on file for audit purposes. New this year, applicants may add the Ed 506 form to their Student Information System, SIS, and pre-fill the available content from their student records. For example, student name, address, grade level, Parents can then e-sign via the SIS. Grantees are also able to edit the below fields in the Ed 506 forms without contacting the parent. Those areas are the name of the child, date of birth, grade level, name of the school, school district, name and address of tribe or band that maintains updated and accurate membership data for the tribe, whether the tribe or band listed is federally recognized, including Alaska Native, whether it's state recognized, whether it's terminated, whether it's an Alaskan Native, or an organized Indian group. Printed name of parent/guardian and the address thereof. Next slide, please. Applicants that verify their Indian student count with the Ed 506 form must document their Indian student counts by completing the following. Each year, the applicant must verify there is a valid Ed 506 form for each Indian child included in the count. 2, all Ed 506 forms included in the count must be completed, signed, and dated by the end of EASIE's Part 1, March 10, 2023, by the parent or guardian and be on file. Thirdly, the applicant must maintain a copy of the student enrollment roster covering the same period of time indicated in the application as the count period. And fourthly, each Indian child included in the count must be listed on the LEA's enrollment roster for at least 1 day during the count period. BIE schools that enter an Indian School Equalization Program, an ISEP count, ISEP, must use the most current Indian student count certified by the Bureau of Indian Education. Next slide, please. As noted, BIE schools continue to have the option of documenting their Indian student count by either maintaining student Ed 506 forms or by using the Indian School Equalization Program, also known as ISEP, Average Daily Membership, ADM counts. Next slide, period. As previously called out, page 5, EASIE Title VI Indian Student Count provides the appropriate data entry screens to submit your verified Indian student count totals. All applicants must submit a current Indian student count for fiscal year 2023 through 24. Applicants must use the Indian Student Eligibility Certification Form, the Ed 506 form, to document eligible Indian students. However, BIE schools may use either the Indian School Equalization Program, ISEP count, or the Ed 506 form count to verify their Indian student counts. Applicants must provide the privacy of all individual data collected and only report aggregated data to the secretary. Here is an example of the screen where applicants will be entering their student count as well as their count period, which can be from 1 through 31 consecutive days occurring before the end of EASIE's Part 1 on March the 10th, 2023. The count period is the duration of the time during the current school year in which the eligible Indian students enrolled in the LEA are counted to determine the applicant's funds for the Formula Grant Program. The system will fire errors if the count period entered exceeds 31 consecutive days, includes a future date, or if it does not fall between August the 1st, 2022 and March the 10th, 2023. Users will not be able to certify until errors are corrected. Next slide, please. Consortium applicants, including Indian organizations, Indian community-based organizations, and tribes, applying in lieu of multiple LEAs, all organizations in the consortium must have the same count period at each individual school. Next slide, please. Please note, updates to your application can only be made until the closing of the application window on Friday, March the 10th, 2023. Once you certify the application and Part 1 closes, increases to the Indian student count are not permitted. You may decrease the submitted Indian student count anytime during the application cycle, EASIE Part 1 and Part 2. To do so, please contact PSC Partner Support Center for assistance. Next slide, please. Now we will review the required supplemental documentation. Next slide. There are required forms that must be uploaded prior to certifying your Part 1 application for certain applicant types. Tribes applying in lieu of a single or multiple LEAs are required to complete and upload their evidence of eligibility form. Tribes applying in lieu of LEAs agreement before EASIE Part 1 closes. Indian organizations and the consortium leader of Indian organizations are required to upload the Indian organization agreement document before EASIE Part 1 closes. Indian community-based organizations and the consortium leader of Indian-based community organizations are required to upload the ICBO agreement document prior to certification of Part 1. Applicants must use the OMB approved forms. Note, to ensure that the document is able to be downloaded and viewed, please ensure that your uploaded documents are not encrypted. Next slide, please. Consortium applicants are required to submit their completed consortium agreement prior to certifying EASIE Part 1. The consortium agreement must be completed and uploaded as a PDF document before EASIE Part 1 closes. Applicants must use the OMB approved form. Next slide, please. As a reminder, applicants must use the OMB approved form for the applicant type you choose. These forms are located on the EASIE Communities of Practice site. Also, to ensure that the document is able to be downloaded and viewed by OIE, please ensure that your uploaded form is not encrypted. We will review how all required applicant types upload supplemental forms in the EASIE system during our recorded video demonstrated later on in today's webinar. Next slide, please. I'm turning this over to my colleague, Ms. Terry Nelson.
Thank you, Wanda. Now we will review how to access EASIE Part 1. The EASIE application through OMB Max does not contain users' accounts or log-on information. Each applicant receives an entity-specific link to access their EASIE Part 1 application when the system opens. Only individuals registered as a current point of contact, project director, and our official representative will receive the entity-specific link to access to EASIE Part 1 application via PSC. The authorized official representative, which is the superintendent, chief, are familiar with official authority to legally bind the entity to an ed contract, can continue to delegate the responsibility of completing the EASIE Part 1 application to other entities' contacts by sharing their specific link internally. An official record of that delegation should be kept on file by the entity leadership. The authorized official representative is ultimately responsible to review and certify the application. Each entity needs to confirm that the EASIE application is certified by the authorized official representative by the application deadline. Users delegated as email notification contacts during the registration will only receive EASIE emails notification and will not receive entity-specific applications links via PSC. If your entity's registered point of contact, project director, authorized official representative, or email notification contacts have been updated, or your entity did not receive the entity-specific link on the EASIE Part 1 open date, please contact Partner Support Center. Partner Support Center's phone number is 887-457-336. Their email is oie.easy@ed.gov. PSC is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, including federal holidays. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over to Greg Hensley.
Thanks, Terry.
You're welcome.
I will review additional important information. OIE and PSC maintains the EASIE Part 1 FAQs. The FAQs is a supporting document intended to provide policy guidance for the formula grant EASIE Part 1. Some main items this document outlines include EASIE support and resources, EASIE Part 1 general information, EASIE Part 1 application duration and type, EASIE Part 1 LEAs, tribes, IO and ICBOs, BIE schools, student eligibility and count information, supplemental documentation, certification, data quality follow-up, and contact support information. This document also includes step-by-step instructions for completing the EASIE Part 1 application with screenshots. We will review this information in today's recorded video demonstration as well. Next slide. OIE PSC maintains the EASIE Part 1 user guide for the OMB Max survey system. This document contains technical assistance for completing the EASIE Part 1 application. This document outlines EASIE technical requirements, EASIE Part 1 access, navigation, and data entry tips, EASIE Part 1 application sections, supplemental form requirements, certifying EASIE Part 1, additional EASIE Part 1 resources, and again, contact support information. This document also includes step-by-step instructions for completing the EASIE Part 1 application with screenshots, and we will see that in the demo as well. Next slide. OIE PSE created the EASIE Part 1 webinar folder to the EASIE Communities of Practice Part 1 website. Instructional videos listed below are available to view on that Part 1 website, and those are linked. It includes how to access and navigate application, how to upload supplemental forms, and how to certify and download certified application. OIE and PSE has added the EASIE Part 1 webinar folder to the Part 1 website. The webinars are available to help with the EASIE process within the OMB Max survey system. Next slide. OIE and PSE will be conducting data quality follow-up throughout the EASIE Part 1 process once applicants certify. Applicants will be contacted by PSE if their certified Part 1 data triggers a data quality warning based on the below items. Year-to-year changes, which can include Indian student count increases or decreases that meets identified thresholds, the applicant type, and the applicant name. Could also include duplicate information such as NCES identification or UEI. Applicants can view a full list of data quality warnings by viewing the EASIE Part 1 data quality follow-up process document, and it's linked as well. Next slide. After an applicant certifies their EASIE Part 1 application, they may receive data quality warnings based on their certified data. If a data quality warning is generated, the applicant will receive an email notification from the Partner Support Center. The email notification will be sent to the applicant's registered point of contact, project director, authorized official rep, and any email notification contacts. If certified data needs to be updated, the applicant must reply to the email notification and request a new version of their application be created and correct their data and recertify the application. If the applicant has deemed the certified data is accurate and reliable and the certified data does not need to be updated, the applicant can disregard the data quality warning. After the system closes, OIE will perform an additional review of your certified Part 1 application. At that time, there may be additional follow-up with your entity. Next slide. In order to prepare for your entity's EASIE Part 2 application, begin planning for your public hearing. As a reminder, while you prepare for EASIE Part 2, this application is scheduled to open on April 3rd and will need to be completed and certified by May 12th. Please schedule your required meetings accordingly. Please begin planning your communications to your stakeholders. Also, make plans to consult with the parent committee to discuss Part 2 application if you are required to have a parent committee. And that would be all LEA and LEA consortium applicants. You can also start identifying which federal formula grants your district received during the last and current school year, and if those programs are currently coordinated with Title VI services. You can begin to create a description of how the coordination of services will meet the needs of American Indian, Alaska Native children, including their language and cultural needs, with an explanation of specific programs and activities. You can meaningfully engage the Indian tribes located in the community to discuss the comprehensive program. You should conduct your needs assessment, and you'll see the needs assessment section 17.6 in your Part 1 FAQ document for more information on that. Based on your community needs, your assessment data, begin thinking about the objectives that you'll select for your project. You should also begin thinking about how to address the GEPA section 427. And finally, new applicants must have all of their valid ED 506 forms on file prior to the close of Part 1. Next file. Application must be certified by Friday, March 10th, 2023 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. Required supplemental forms must be uploaded prior to certification. OIE recommends that all required forms be uploaded at least 3 days in advance of the certification deadline to avoid any last-minute issues. Just because all responses have been completed does not mean your application is completed. You have to certify it. Remember to save and/or print a copy of your certified application for your files. And always make sure to monitor your email for communication from oie.easie@ed.gov or easie@edlistservs.org. There are a lot of emails, so you should definitely keep track and keep an eye on those. You should also check your spam and junk folder just in case some have snuck in there. Next slide. For your reference, here are the EASIE Part 1 webinar dates. Of course, today we are in the first one, and we'll have another one on Thursday. And now I turn the presentation back to Crystal Skamansky.
Thank you so much, Greg. To receive support during the application process, please contact the Partner Support Center. PSC will distribute regular broadcasts providing EASIE applicants with updates and reaching out to applicants as the deadline approaches to ensure all applicants complete their application and do not miss out on any funding. We are available to answer any questions that you may have during our regular hours of operation from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday, except for federal holidays. Please note, PSC will provide support until 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on the close day. Therefore, entities are strongly encouraged to submit their EASIE Part 1 application 1 day prior to the submission deadline. This will help avoid any last-minute issues after PSC closes at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time and is unavailable to help resolve them. So this concludes the first part of today's webinar. So now if everyone can give me a few minutes, I'm going to pull up the recorded EASIE Part 1 online demonstration.
Patience. Let's go ahead and get started with the recorded system demonstration. Before beginning, the EASIE application may work in other internet browsers, but Google Chrome is recommended for the best performance. Please note that the OMB Max survey portal may generate a warning message when using a browser other than Google Chrome. Selecting the EASIE Part 1 application entity-specific link provided via the Part 1 launch broadcast email from PSC directs the user to the EASIE Part 1 application landing page. Page 1, EASIE Title VI Part 1 Instructions. Please note that the application and data entered today are through a test account, and this is not the actual application for the listed entity. Each applicant should review the instructions and then select Next. We are now on page 2, EASIE Title VI Part 1 Application Overview and FAQs. Users will need to review the information. And once this information has been reviewed, you can select Next. I would like to call out the navigation options now that we are on page 2. Users can navigate to previous and subsequent pages while completing EASIE Part 1 by selecting the Next and Previous buttons at the bottom of each page. Users can navigate to specific pages while completing the EASIE Part 1 application by accessing the question index. Users can save EASIE Part 1 data entry responses and submit the survey later by selecting Resume Later at the bottom of the survey window. Entities can use their entity-specific link at a later time to return to the EASIE Part 1 application and submit. All previously saved responses will appear. And then you can select Next. We are now on page 3, EASIE Title VI Part 1 Demographics. Review and update applicant name, applicant identification, applicant mailing address, project director, and authorized official representative if needed. For the applicant name section, applicants will need to review and/or update their applicant name. This information will be pre-filled from your prior certification if available. Next, for the applicant identification section, applicants will need to review and/or update their UEI number. This information will again be pre-filled from your prior certification if available. Please note, entities are unable to update their PR award number or NCES number. If either of these numbers have changed, contact PSC via email at oie.easie@ed.gov or via phone at 877-457-3336. For the applicant mailing address section, applicants will need to review and/or update their mailing address. The applicant mailing address should be the same address that is registered with the provided UEI number. The UEI is a unique entity identifier, and it can be registered through sam.gov. Please also note that state entries must follow 2-character state abbreviation format. So here for California, I have CA. The project director and authorized official representative contact information can also be updated. The project director and the authorized official representative information are pre-filled from registration. For the project director section, the applicant will need to review and/or update their project director's first name, last name, title, phone number, fax number, and email address. The project director information is pre-filled from EASIE registration. Since the information that was pre-filled in my test application is correct and up to date, I will leave it as is. Next, for the authorized official representative section, the applicant will need to review and/or update their authorized official representative's first name, last name, title, phone number, fax number, and email address. The authorized official representative information is also pre-filled from the EASIE registration. The information listed here is correct, so I will leave it as is. But please note, the authorized official representative is the official within the organization with the legal authority to give assurances, make commitments, enter into contracts, and execute such documents on behalf of the organization as may be required. This person holds a high-level leadership position, is often the superintendent of the LEA. For tribes, it could be a tribal official designated or authorized to bind the tribe in legal contracts, such as a chief. And once all data response fields have been updated, can select Next. We are now at Section 4, EASIE Title VI, Application Term Period, and Applicant Type. Please review and update the application term period and applicant type. This data will populate in the question text if your entity had a prior EASIE application in the last 2 fiscal year grant cycles. Entities will need to manually select a response before continuing. Applicants that are currently in a multi-year application, year 2, 3, or 4, will need to confirm if they would like to continue or discontinue their multi-year application. They will also need to confirm if there are changes to their description of services, grant objectives, activities, services, or grade levels for the correct application period. If there are any changes to these items, applicants are required to discontinue their current multi-year application prior to selecting Next. For my test account, this is the first year of my application. As a result, I only have access to select New Multi-Year Application. Multi-year applicants in year 2 or 3 will also have an option to continue their current multi-year application. You may only select one option. Afterwards, single-year applicants and multi-year applicants in year 1 of 4 only will select an application type based on the available options. For this demonstration, I will select LEA, Consortium Leader, to demo how to upload a supplemental form. All sections that appear for each applicant type can be found in the EASIE Part 1 User Guide document. For LEA Consortium Leader, tribes applying in lieu of multiple LEAs, Consortium Leader IO, and Consortium Leader ICBO will need to identify their consortium partners or the additional LEAs they are applying in lieu of. The NCES number, LEA name, city, and state of each additional LEA should be listed in this section. The lead LEA should not be listed in this section. Please also note that state entries must follow 2-character state abbreviation format. For example, for California, we have CA. All state entries must match the state information provided in the applicant mailing address on page 3, EASIE Title 6, Part 1, Demographics. I have entered the non-lead LEAs that are included in my consortium. I only had one other partner, which I entered here. And once all data responses have been entered, you can select Next. On page 5, EASIE Title 6, Indian Student Count, entities must review and update their Indian student count period, and all student count. First, users will need to update their Indian student count. The application will pre-fill with the entity's previously certified total Indian student count, if available from prior certified application. Complete this section with the number of eligible Indian students. An eligible Indian student means a student who, 1, meets the definition of Indian in the definition section of the instructions to this application, and 2, who was present during the official count date, and 3, for whom the LEA has a valid Indian Student Certification Form, ED 506 form. BIE funded schools have the ability to use their ISEP count instead of the ED 506 form. Please note, each Indian child included in the count must be listed on the LEA's enrollment roster or rosters for at least 1 day during the count period. Please enter numbers only, no special characters. For example, if you had over 1,000, like 1,000 students, you would enter 1000, no commas, please. I have my Indian student count here. It is for 720. And please remember that this includes all eligible Indian students in my consortium. Next, users will need to provide their Indian student count period start and end dates. The count period is the span of time during the current school year in which the official Indian student count was taken. The count period may be up to 31 consecutive calendar days, inclusive of all dates. For example, you could list October 1st through October 31st, 2022. Please note, the last day of the count period cannot be a future date. It cannot be later than the date the application is signed and submitted. I have entered a count date here of October 1st to October 31st. Next, users will need to provide their all student count. This count should include all Indian and non-Indian students enrolled in your entity during your identified count period. Please enter numbers only, no special characters. I'm going to enter my all student count. Once all data responses have been entered, select Next. We are on page 6, Supplemental Forms. Upload the required supplemental forms based on your selected applicant type. LEAs, not part of a consortium, are not required to upload any supplemental forms. Since I identified as an LEA consortium leader, I am required to upload a consortium agreement. To do so, I will need to select Upload Files and then click Select File. After clicking Select File, a dialog box will appear to select the file to upload from your local computer. Choose the file that contains your completed and signed supplemental form. Then select Open. After selecting Open, the file will be uploaded into EASIE Part 1 and a message will appear that states, "The file has been successfully uploaded." Once the upload is complete, users can either select Delete and upload a different file, or select Save Changes to save the upload and continue. After selecting Save Changes, view the uploaded file name on page 6, Supplemental Forms. Only one document in total can be uploaded. If you would like to upload other files, users will need to delete their current file and upload another by selecting Edit, Delete, and then upload a new file. After the file has been uploaded, select Next to continue to page 7, Certification. Page 7, Certification. Certification is required. The last step of EASIE Part 1 is the certification of your submission by the authorized official representative. This person cannot be a contractor. By certifying, you are verifying the correctness of the application. This step is critical. Uncertified applications are not submitted to the Office of Indian Education. Failure to certify your application by the deadline will prevent the entity from continuing in the EASIE process. The authorized official representative should follow the steps below for certifying their EASIE Part 1 application after all previous sections have been completed. You'll need to navigate to page 7, Certification in EASIE Part 1. The authorized official representative will need to review the certification information present on this page and enter the entity's authorized official representative's first name, last name, title, applicant name, and date. Typing the authorized official representative information certifies that you agree to all terms stated in this application. Please note, the authorized official representative's information that was submitted in the EASIE registration survey, if applicable, will be pre-filled. This information must also be manually entered into the response fields in order to certify EASIE Part 1. Users will only be able to enter the current date when completing certification. After all information has been entered on the certification page, the authorized official representative must select Submit to certify the EASIE Part 1 application. EASIE Part 1 will then automatically be delivered electronically to the Office of Indian Education for review. After Submit is selected, users are directed to the certification confirmation page. Please note, applicants are unable to update their application themselves after selecting Submit. This serves as confirmation that the EASIE Part 1 certification is complete. The entity's registered point of contact will also receive an automated confirmation email from noreply.survey@max.gov. The point of contact should forward this email confirmation to any relevant EASIE contacts in their entity, so all users are informed EASIE Part 1 has been certified and no further actions are needed. Applicants may request a new version of Part 1 be created by PSC prior to the deadline. Ensure your request to PSC includes a brief explanation as to why a new version is needed. Applicants will be notified once their application is reopened and ready for updates and recertification. By requesting a new version, the applicant assures they will recertify Part 1 prior to the deadline. To download and print your EASIE Part 1 certified responses, select Print Your Answers on EASIE Part 1 certification confirmation page after certifying. Note, once exiting this page, you will not be able to re-enter and download a copy of your certified application. Contact PSC if you did not complete this step and would like to request a copy. Export responses in PDF format by selecting PDF Export or as a QXML PDF format by selecting a QXML PDF Export. To print EASIE Part 1 responses in a more user-friendly version, PSC recommends selecting Print Your Answers and printing the web page version directly from the screen. To do this, select Control-P on your keyboard. Users should ensure the destination is set to Save as PDF and select Save. Follow your browser's prompts to save. This concludes a recorded demonstration of EASIE Part 1. Please give me a few moments to pull up the remainder of today's slides.
Okay, this concludes our presentation for today. We're going to take a few minutes to see if there are any questions that we can address in the time that remains. As a reminder, questions sent through the Q&A panel may not be answered in real time. This helps ensure OIE has proper time to research each individualized policy issue prior to providing a response. If your question is not addressed, please contact PSC. If you would like to ask your question verbally, please enter this request in the Q&A panel, and PSC will announce your name prior to unmuting you. It appears we have addressed as many of the questions as we could in the time remaining. If your question was not addressed, please contact PSC. Thank you everyone for joining us today. As always, please feel free to contact the Partner Support Center with any questions or concerns regarding the EASIE registration process or EASIE Part 1. Again, this PowerPoint, as well as the audio recording of today's webinar, will be made available on the community site, or you can always contact PSC to request a copy of these materials. So that concludes today's presentation. Thank you so much for your time and participation today, and have a great day.